Hi guys, and welcome back to Ask a Lawyer. Hope you are having a good day. I have 5 stories for you today, so let's get to the first one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. I'm very interested if you agree with my insights about the stories. Enjoy. For context, I, 30 male, and my fiance, 28 female, got engaged 2 years ago. And we have a nearly 2-year-old baby. And to help her mother out, we moved in with her over 2 years ago because she couldn't pay for her house herself. And my fiancé said a bit of support would be nice when the baby came. Ever since we moved in, you can't actually have anything to yourself. Food, snacks, the TV. Once, she was wearing one of my hoodies, so I literally can't have the clothes on my back. But one thing we put the foot down on was her engagement ring. The day I gave it to her, she insisted on trying it on. Fiancé said no multiple times. Future mother-in-law went far enough to try to take it from her hand, until I physically took her hands off my fiancé and told her to back off, and then told her that ring is her daughter's and no one will be wearing it, trying it on, or anything else, and that we really feel it's disrespectful and bad luck to wear someone else's engagement ring. It was brought up consistently over the next 2 years. She never gave up. But last night was where I blew up. My fiancé was putting on fake tan in future mother-in-law's room. It's only a 2-bedroom house, and I was putting the little lad to sleep so she couldn't go anywhere else. And she naturally took the ring off to put her tan on and left it on the side locker. After I got my son asleep, we went downstairs, and future mother-in-law went to bed. And as we're watching TV, my partner jumps up and says, "Oh crap, I left my ring in future mother-in-law's room." So she goes up to get it, and it's not where she left it. So she woke up her mother, and before she asks, she sees it on her hand while she's asleep. When she told me, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I shouted at her that the level of disrespect we suffer around here was too much, and we're moving out as soon as possible. She starts crying about not being able to pay the bills, and she'll be homeless, yada yada, and to be honest, I don't care anymore. Because not once did I hear an apology for her breaking the most clear boundary I have set for living with her. And for upsetting my fiancé. It's a superstition in her family that if someone wears the ring before the couple get married, that the marriage won't last. Also worth noting, future mother-in-law has a lot of warts on her hands, at least 20. From poor hygiene that she has been told by the doctor are contagious, but won't get treated. So am I blowing this up a bit too much or what? Am I the idiot? Edit. Just to clarify on the wart thing. I know they are a virus and can be spread by broken skin, but she has so many due to poor hygiene and constantly picking at them, breaking the skin and making it worse. Edit 2. I said we moved in with her so my fiancé could have some support with a new baby, but we don't trust her with our son. After a few times she watched him and left him in dirty diapers and neglected him. She hasn't been on her own with him since he was a couple of months old. It was just a reason we moved in that didn't work out. I don't think OP is an idiot, and I think they should move out as soon as possible. It looks like mother-in-law is trying to wear the ring on purpose, like having bad intentions. Especially when OP's fiancé's family has a superstition about a marriage not lasting if someone else wears the ring. My ex-husband left me last year for another woman he was cheating on me with. The breakup divorce was messy because I was angry for a long time about the whole thing. However, we have 2 sons, 6 and 4, so for that reason, we are on okay terms now. Though our communication is limited to talking about the kids. He is still in a relationship with the other woman, and she is who I'm having the problem with. She is trying to now be friends with me. When the kids are with her, she sends me pictures of them and sends me messages asking how the boys are, etc. I know she is trying to be nice, but it's still hard for me to see my children with her. She had an affair with my husband for months. I only gave her my number in case she ever needed to contact me in an emergency. The last time I saw her, she hugged me like a long-lost friend and said we should have a catch-up sometime. I told her quite bluntly, no thanks. My ex messaged me later to say I shouldn't have been rude to her and it's not her fault. I don't think it's his place to say anything, and I am usually polite to her when I see her, but I don't want to be her friend. Not right now, anyway. This whole breakup situation is still quite raw for me. I was totally blindsided when I found out about the affair. There's about 100 pages I could write on here about that and how it affected me. I do want to maintain an okay relationship with my ex and her for the sake of the kids, but that's it. I couldn't hang out with her like a friend. Am I being stupid or stubborn about this? Should I just suck it up and be friendlier with her? Is there any way to actually do this when I still feel resentful? Friends? This woman must be delusional. Of course OP is not an idiot. I am sure OP is friendly and polite enough. If only OP would be friends with her, that would alleviate so much guilt. See? We're friends now, so it all worked out. She is an incredibly selfish person to expect a friendship of any kind with the ex-wife of the man she had an affair with. I would just ignore her and tell the ex-husband not to expect any friendship. She needs to keep boundaries. I feel so sorry for the kids in such situations. So, I've always known my sister was the favorite. It's painfully obvious, especially from my dad. This is super petty, but just to give a concrete example, I always had the smallest bedroom growing up, which makes sense, I was the youngest. But her room was already bigger than mine, and then they decided to renovate it. They built her a second bedroom out of the attic, with a grand staircase in her bedroom to access. Then they cut out some square footage from the master next door to build her a gorgeous walk-in closet. It was a 2-story, literal princess suite. I was mad jealous, obviously, but they always promised I could have the room when she went to college. And she's 3 grades above me, so 3 years with it felt fair. Until she moved out to college and they changed their mind, saying they didn't want her to not have her room to come home to on holidays and such. So for 3 more years, her 2-story suite sat empty and I was stuck in the tiny bedroom. Lots of stuff like that. But you write it off, you know? You always rationalize it in your head, that they can't actually just love her more, right? So another tough situation. And again, this is stupid, I know. Was the annual daddy-daughter dances in high school. My sister and my dad loved them so much, and I couldn't wait to get to go too. My dad travels almost every weekend for work, so the fact that he declined shows to stay home and go to the dances with her was really important, you know? We didn't get a ton of his time with his job, so that mattered a lot to us. Anyways, finally, I get to high school, and my first daddy-daughter dance as a freshman was her last one as a senior. Most of the night, they wanted to be by themselves, and they were pretty emotional that it was their last daddy-daughter dance, which I totally get, and I gave them space and stuff. But that ended up being my last daddy-daughter dance too. The next 3 years, my dad didn't decline those weekend shows, even though he promised. Especially my senior year, he promised he'd make it, and he didn't. And I know that sounds stupid, but that really broke my heart. Anyways, like I said, you rationalize it, and you talk yourself out of it. You can't really imagine you're just less loved than your siblings. I don't know. So at her wedding, which was so unbelievably perfect and amazing, and she's so loved by so many people and friends, and that already gives me anxiety in itself, because I'm a much more introverted person with a small group of friends, not like my sister. Anyways, at her wedding, my dad gave his speech. And in it, he was talking about how much he loved her and how she was his special little girl who he couldn't wait to dance with tonight. He said that he loved her so much that growing up, he actually turned down shows so that he could dance with her at all 4 of her daddy-daughter dances. That's how much he loved her. I know it's stupid, but hearing that, man, that just felt like a knife to my gut. I was right in front of him at the main table and was trying so hard to keep smiling because everyone was looking up at us, but I was so close to crying. He loved her so much, he did something for her he couldn't be bothered with to do for me, even though he promised. It was like 20 years worth of fears and insecurities were all confirmed. I was lesser. I was unlovable, even by my own father. How do you come to terms with that? I know it's so petty, but their wedding was 6 months ago, and this is still eating me alive. My boyfriend and I are probably going to get married in the next few years, and just thinking of my dad giving a speech, or even our first dance together, feels like that wound is tearing back open and I just want to start crying. I know how sad it will make me, hearing his words while remembering his other ones. I don't think I can get them out of my head. What do I do? Edit. I do want to clarify that I was not neglected. I feel like some people think I was living in a closet or something, and that's really not the case at all. We had a beautiful home, and I'm incredibly lucky for my upbringing. I'm no Harry Potter living in a cupboard under the stairs. It's just, in comparison to her suite, that mine seems tiny. Before the reno, our rooms were actually pretty similar, just basic rectangle rooms. Hers was just slightly larger. Anyways, so a part of me still thinks this is just me being dramatic or making a big deal out of nothing. But now there's a part of me that doubts that. And that's thanks to you guys. I think I might seek a therapist to unpack this all a bit more. In my personal opinion, OP shouldn't ask her father to walk her down the aisle, dance with her, or do anything that would remind her on her wedding day how he really makes her feel. I think he can really make her feel bad and upset her on her special day. There's no guarantee that he won't say something stupid that will hurt OP. OP should tell her father how she feels. That she never had that sort of unconditional love that he gave her sister, and that she doesn't trust him not to make the day all about him and her sister. Maybe OP should lower her expectations and disengage. My mom, 40 female, had an affair during her first year of marriage with my dad, and that resulted in my birth. I have never met my biological dad, and I never want to. My real dad is the one who raised me since birth. It feels like my dad holds resentment towards me, though. I don't look anything like him. I have blonde hair and blue eyes, while my dad is the opposite, with his brown eyes and black hair. My mom and I are very close with each other. She's like a friend to me. She takes me to the mall, we go to the spa sometimes, and she drives me everywhere, soccer practice, friends' houses, etc. It makes me sad to know that my friends' dads take them out to go fishing or hunting, etc. My dad doesn't do any of that. I never spend any quality time with him, and I don't remember the last time he said that he loved me. He's like a stranger to me. I also don't know much about my dad, other than he plays video games sometimes. My dad probably never wanted me. I can't blame him, though. What my mom did was terrible, and I'm a daily reminder of that. I love my dad, and I want him to recognize that I'm his daughter. I want to give my dad a big hug and say I love him. I want to build a relationship with him before I leave for university this year, but I don't know how to start, or even if he wants anything to do with me. Is there any way I can fix my relationship with my dad? I think it takes a big heart to raise someone else's child, especially one from an affair. I personally couldn't do that. Could you guys? Yes, it's a reminder of the affair every day. But as well, I think if you can't do it, you shouldn't do it. Also, everybody shows their feelings differently, or doesn't show them at all. Maybe he is the way he is, and not because he hates OP. Maybe OP should try and talk to him, and tell him how she feels. Update. I don't have any siblings. It's just me, my mom, and my dad. On Monday morning, I told my dad that I wanted to get lunch with him, like a few people suggested. He was surprised, and looked happy that I wanted to do something with him. My dad took me to the restaurant that we used to go to when I was little. It was awkward. My dad and I didn't know what to say to each other, so I talked about what I wanted to do with the rest of my spring break, and I asked him about his video games. I gave my dad a big hug afterwards when we came home, thanked him for taking me out, and told him that I loved him. My dad began crying, and he said he loved me too. I told my dad that I thought he resented me because I wasn't his biological child. My dad admitted that it was hard for him to get over my mom's cheating, but he loved me just as he would his own child. My dad said I was the most important person in his life, and he wanted to spend more time with me, but thought I wasn't interested because I hang out with my mom all the time. He also apologized for not being affectionate with me because he grew up in a family that never said they loved each other. He promised me that he would try saying that he loves me and giving me more hugs. I said I wanted to build a relationship with him before I went off to university because I was going to miss him. My dad said he would try to find stuff for us to do, and even though he didn't like fishing, he would take me out one day. I also said that I wanted to play video games with him, and he told me he'd teach me how. It went a lot better than I thought it would. I expected that it was going to take more time before I felt comfortable telling my dad everything that was on my mind. But I'm glad we had that talk. I'm very excited to actually start doing things with my dad, and I know that he loves me. He's just been afraid to express it. Some background. Me, 25 female, and my former best friend, E, 25 female, were friends for 6 years. We met in high school and then went to college together, and we were very close for that time. Around 3 years ago, we had a huge falling out. The details aren't important, but the falling out wasn't over anything petty. She deeply hurt my feelings, had been doing so for a while, and when I explained to her why I was hurt, E wasn't remorseful at all, and to this day, I've never gotten an apology. Because of this, I told E 3 years ago that I no longer wanted to be friends. We haven't spoken since. Fast forward to last Saturday. I was at the grocery store with my husband and we ran into her. I really didn't want to talk, but I said hello and introduced her to my husband. She looked really shocked and went silent for a minute. She then asked me multiple times if I was being serious about being married, and I said that yes, I was actually married. I told her we got married last year right before everything shut down. She kind of mumbled a congratulations, and then we went on our separate ways. Last night, she sent me a very long email about how upset she was that she never knew I was married, that she wasn't invited to the wedding, that she didn't get to help me pick out a dress, etc. We had talked about how we would be in each other's weddings and all that when we were friends. She was also offended at how I introduced her to my husband. I said, "This is E. We went to college together." Maybe that was rude, but I didn't know what to call her, and I didn't want to be like, "This is my ex-best friend." So that's what I went with. She said that she cried all night after she got home because she couldn't believe that I would be so cruel. She also mentioned how pissed she was that she had to find out over a year later. I'm trying to understand her perspective, but at the point when I got married, it had been 2 years of absolutely no contact. I couldn't imagine just calling her up and being like, "Hey, I know we haven't spoken in years, but I'm getting married. Want to come help me plan it?" Plus, she knew how badly she hurt me and has never tried to apologize or reconcile. I can kind of see why she's upset. We were friends for a long time, but we aren't friends now and haven't been for a while. I don't think I was in the wrong by not telling her, but I would love some outside opinions. Edit. I saw some comments asking if it was made clear to her that our friendship was over. Yes, I made it very clear 3 years ago that we were not friends anymore. Edit 2. I've decided I'm not going to respond. I just know it would end in drama, and that's the last thing I want. I know people want to know what happened 3 years ago, but I'm really not comfortable talking about it. It's a very long story, and even though quite a bit of time has passed, it still upsets me to dwell on. It was over something very serious. I think I deserved an apology, but I'm never going to beg for someone to treat me the way I think I should be treated. I think she was crying all night because she was jealous OP got married. Why would you invite a person who hurt you and you haven't spoken or seen for 3 years? I think OP should just ignore her.